All right, guys. So a lot of questions we get are, can I put my training that you may get from us, or can we help you lay out a program that goes along with the CrossFit gym you are training at already? So we have brought in our CrossFit expert, and we're going to talk about some of the things with that that can sometimes make it difficult, but that can also make it very doable if your CrossFit gym is being programmed well. So AC has been, I started training with AC about a little over 4 years ago. Came from kind of a typical team sport, mostly soccer background. And then so we got him into the strength, and he got addicted to the strength stuff. I mean, this was not all here. This is new. And so he really got into the CrossFit. That was the thing. Where we lived in North Carolina, there wasn't a ton of outdoor sports. There wasn't a lot of action sports, especially you had to really kind of work to find that stuff. So when AC came out here about a year ago, he quickly got addicted to mountain biking and other things. And so first we're going to talk about some of the challenges that he saw in trying to do competitive CrossFit and do a CrossFit program or whatever, and the mountain biking, and then we'll elaborate on ways to improve upon that. So one, kind of break down what, and again, this is a competitor's program, so break down kind of what your week of training looked like on a weekly and daily basis.
Right, so like Deacon said, it was a competitive program. Like, my goal was to be a competitive at CrossFit in the CrossFit Open, and to try to make CrossFit Regionals, which is definitely requires a lot of dedication and commitment. At the high point of my training, as far as volume is concerned, I was training 10 times a week, 10 sessions a week. So it ends up being multiple sessions a day and multiple times a week. Not a whole lot of time for anything other than slinging barbells, eating, and sleeping or recovering. And a lot of that time's been active recovery, and it's just pretty high intensity type of training. But once again, that's like pretty close to the extreme end of the spectrum as far as intensity and volume goes in CrossFit. So there are also the average person, I feel like, probably goes to the gym, the CrossFit gym, 5, maybe 6 times a week. Hopefully one of those days at least is a recovery day for you, especially if you're not competitive. So there is a difference there between the volume, but yeah, that's the general intensity that I was at.
And so one thing to think about as coming in, is people are like, well, we tell people to strength train to prevent injury and to get better. And so thinking about that, one of the biggest things of all of this is looking at your sport. So CrossFit is a sport, and anything that you are doing at a competitive level, whether it is powerlifting, CrossFit, Olympic weightlifting, mountain biking, motocross, football, when you start to go at a competitive level, your injury of risk from that sport massively increases. So we use strength training as a means of rehabilitation, of prehab, and to prevent injury. And that is done in a massive moderation compared to what AC was doing, and also the intensity that it's done. AC was regularly lifting above 80% of his 1 rep max, and that's where we judge intensity in the gym, is and how much volume he's doing at that. And then there was max output stuff, and so he was beat up a lot. But that's, if you're doing any sport at a high level, you're gonna get beat up. So it's taking, like AC said, taking the steps to recover. And for us, with action sports being the emphasis, that's why we utilize the gym 2 to 3 days a week to improve our athletes' ability to prevent injury and to build that durability. But so that's where some kind of misconceptions come, like, oh, well, I'm working out, and people say that makes me safer.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a question of risk, like you said. Like a lot of the guys we train, mountain bikers, BMXers, so on and so forth, these guys are taking huge risks with their bodies, and they're in order to be competitive, and that's what it takes in any sport to be competitive. Is you have to be willing to push yourself and push the limit of what you thought you could do before, and that carries some risk with it. But what you don't want to be doing is taking those risks and then coming into the gym and taking more risks, because then you're starting to compound your chances of getting injured or having nagging injuries. And you know what, if your focus is on being a competitive mountain biker, let's say, what's the point of going into the gym and doing butterfly pull-ups, doing something to your shoulder and having a nagging injury that's going to hurt you for the rest of your downhill season, or whatever the case may be. The injuries are going to wreck your ability to really grow in your sport and keep performing at the intensity you need to perform at to become competitive. So like our focus, like Deacon said, is mitigate that risk. Let's if you're taking your risks out in your sport, let's make sure in the gym we're not taking those same risks. We're doing the safe, effective stuff that's going to get you where you want to go, without compounding the risks you're already taking.
And that's why we don't use a lot of barbells in our programs. The barbell has a very strict movement path to do it correctly, safely, and there's not much adjustment for your wrists or elbows or shoulders, again, to move it safely. So if we don't have the movement capabilities and the movement patterns to do that stuff safely, why are we going to force that on it? Again, that's why we don't use the Olympic lifts much with athletes, this clean and jerk and snatch, because there's just risk reward. They're already putting a lot of risk on their wrists and elbows, again, and shoulders, and we have other ways that we can work with them to build power. We use sleds a ton, and we're starting to use them more and more and more, and for the strength and speed and power, because it doesn't do as much damage to the body to recover.
And it sort of fits with our motto of one of our mini mottos, where we don't build the athlete around our program. We build our programs around the athlete. The barbell is a very useful tool, but it's one of many tools in the strength and conditioning world, and it's an unforgiving tool. And so you see all the time, like, people trying to introduce themselves to the barbell too early. They're moving their body in ways that they normally wouldn't, or that they shouldn't be, in order to accommodate the barbell, when really they should be starting with something like, let's say, if you're thinking about a barbell back squat, a comparison is a goblet squat. Let's start there. Let's start with less demand of the mobility, and that still gives us the opportunity to see some strength gains and to develop good movement patterns that then will maybe carry over to the barbell one day, if we get to that point.
Yeah, so. And again, no matter what, like the barbell, I believe is something that, 3 months is a quick progression to a barbell if you do it correctly and really earn the right to do it. But here again lies the problem sometimes with these athletes using CrossFit as their mean for training, which CrossFit, as far as general physical preparedness, is extremely incredible. But again, if you're not focused on the bar sport or the gym being your sport, one of the reasons that another reason I don't like it for our athletes, or for athletes in these sports to be going into, is because of your competitive drive. You want to win. Your guys are competing in sports and pushing your bodies to the limit because you like to be competitive, you like to improve, you like to do better, and you want to win. So if you're in a gym where you see a guy doing muscle ups, or there's a AMRAP for time, or on the board, you want to win. So you're going to push because that is what makes you great at your sport. But that could be also what's your most detrimental asset in the gym, and you're out of sport training. So in CrossFit, where you have even a great CrossFit program done well, is built as a whole. And then you bring everyone into it. Now, there's a ton of great gyms that do a great job of how to implement that and on-ramp people into that and get them ready for that program. But again, it's built around a whole one picture, and it's kind of I don't want to say it's a one-size-fits-all, because CrossFit gyms are getting a lot better at not doing that, and learning to have progression and regression of movements. But again, you're competitive, so if you're in there and you're doing this all-encompassing program that everyone's doing, And I come and tell you, be like, all right, you're going to do dumbbell snatches because you don't quite have the range of motion in your shoulders or the stability to do a full barbell snatch. That's going to drive you nuts. And all you're going to think about is Bobby Joe over there who's doing a 745-pound hang snatch. That happens now.
That's the thing.
And you want to do that. You see muscle ups. You want to do that. And again, it's a risk reward. It's so hard to turn off that competitive nature, and that's why we like to use that in our gym. We couple up our athletes a lot with movements that are pretty unfuckable-upple. Is that a word?
Unfuckable.
Unfuckable.
I don't know. You made it up. That word. You can make up words. Donald Trump did it.
Yeah.
Bigly.
And like sleds and prowlers and things like that, and we do stuff, and we do put some competition in there because it's good for the kids,
So the big thing is, with the whole theme about all this is you got to focus on what your goal is. So if you come to us and your goal is what your one thing in life is, that you want to be good at doing muscle ups, we can get you there. But you have to understand that comes at the expense of some other things that you might want to do. And I use muscle ups really as like a metaphor for just like CrossFit or whatever. Like if you want to be really good at CrossFit, you can do that. We can probably help you do that. There may be people that are more qualified to help you do that, but we could help you do that. But what we can't do is make you really good at CrossFit while also making you really good at mountain biking. There's a trade-off there. You're gonna be good at one thing, good at the other, and you can be okay at everything, or you can focus on your sport. And if your goal is to be good at downhill mountain biking, then there's no need to do the stuff in the gym that is gonna put you at risk. And
dude, squirrel. This would have been like the perfect Facebook Live thing.
What does squirrel mean? Learn something new.
It's Stephen's life in a nutshell.
It would make a good Facebook Live thing.
So all that aside, how can you, if you're already in a CrossFit program and you're a competitive athlete and you're wanting a program from us, and this is probably the most common because of some of my CrossFit buddies that own gyms and have great programs that they want some assistance in some of these athletes and these action sports athletes, how does it fit into that program? Well, one, I need to see the program that's being run, or talk to the person in the gym who writes the programs. A lot of our friends now are using box programming from Jason Brown, and if AC and I plan on one day hopefully opening up a CrossFit gym of our own because we really do like it, and I love what it does, and what it's done for the strength and conditioning world is awesome, and we will run box programming. Because it's a great program, it's consistent, it has a plan, and so if you are competing in a what I would call a contact or combative sport, and I put action sports in that where you're beating your body up a lot, you want to find 2 good strength days where that's the main focus in the gym, whether it's 2 full body days or upper and lower depending on training goals. And that can vary. Like right now, we have a lot of our guys on 3 days a week in the off season to build some muscle. And so you want to know where those fit in, and then you want to plug in your sport around those days. And you don't want to be hitting the gym on the crazy Metcon days and the things that are really exhausting you. Strength training can really be used to build strength and power, but also help you recover if it's done right. And we need a consistent layout to see what that program is doing. So that's the important part. I can't just tell you Tuesday and Thursdays because a lot of CrossFit gyms, they don't have the same thing on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Unfortunately, right. They don't have the same training goal throughout the week. They still do the dartboard approach. And again, if you want to get in great shape, just
What's
general.
the dartboard approach?
Where you had a bunch of crap on the wall, like shenanigans, and you just throw darts at it.
Whatever the dart hits is what you do that day.
That's what we're doing today. We got to be ready for anything.
You'd be surprised how many people still do that.
And really, for general physical preparedness, if you're not training for anything, CrossFit.com is still going to probably be one of the best programs you can do if you have no goal of like anything specific.
Just be fit.
Just to be fit. Go to CrossFit.com.
And there are a lot of reasons to go to a CrossFit gym that don't have anything to do with fitness too. I mean, a lot of people go for the community and just like the social aspect and you know
the coaching.
A lot to the coaching. Yeah,
I mean, that's
life
ultimately
coaching.
that's what everybody's paying for is the coaching, and that's why I like working with clients that online that are already in a CrossFit gym because they have coaches, and we just build a relationship with that coach, with that facility, and I'm basically giving a program to a trainer, and they're implementing it. And that's a huge asset because, I mean, for me and AC, where we've picked up mountain biking this summer, if we didn't have people actually kind of giving us pointers and telling us what we need to work on or change, we're not going to progress as quickly. And strength training, you can be doing my program that we would write to the T, but if your movement's crappy and you're moving wrong, you could actually be doing detrimental effects to yourself.
Or if you're not choosing the right weights,
or the
if
right
you're
weight,
going way
you
too
know,
heavy, or you're using the 20 pounds and you've been using the 20 pounds for bench press for, 5.5 weeks now, it might be time to step it up a notch.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you can be doing wrong and not even know you're doing wrong because you don't have someone there. And like at the end of the day, if you start talking about money and like is it worth it to get a coach? Well, it depends. Like, I mean, if you value your time, do you want to go in the gym and waste time day after day after day, treading water, not making any real progress towards your goals? Or do you want to invest in making the most of your time in there and becoming a better you? And if that's what you want to do, then and you think about it in those terms, and having a coach begins to look like a really reasonable investment. And I think for a lot of people, it really is.
And so again, the long and short of like those are all the reasons that we don't necessarily prescribe CrossFit to our action sports athletes because it's not necessarily the right fit. And a lot can depend on the program. Like CrossFit Minerstown has a 3-level program, and it's great. But again, it's you've got to, when you add stuff to your training, you got to take something away. And then you have a lot of people like, oh, I've got to be on my bike 7 days a week, and I want to train on top of it. You don't. The more skill set you have, the less time you need to actually be practicing it, the more high quality of practice and training you need to be doing, the more focused you need to be with it.
Hitting corners and whatever.
It's just because you're doing it at such a higher intensity, you can go out and make the most of it. Yep. So the short of it is, can we put a program together built around a CrossFit program that you're already doing? Absolutely. What does it involve? Us being in contact with your gym and your coach, and making sure that they're okay with it. Are they okay with, hey, you're going to be getting this program from us and you want to implement it? We want to build a relationship